So the one thing, folks, that happens at CONEXPO is you have to wear a badge. I just got caught out because I wasn't wearing one, but Michael here from Biosite was. And that gives us access, Michael, to this CONEXPO whole event, doesn't it? Which you're here for with the UK government. And basically, tell me a little bit about Biosite, because you allow people to get access to areas that are restricted. Tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So Biosite, workforce management and access control company, founded in the UK in 2010. Specialised in primarily biometric access control, because as you rightly pointed out, I do have a badge, but it says Michael Bryant on it, but I could quite easily give you this badge. You can then gain access under my credentials. So the biometric piece comes in to make sure that we've got that unique identifier, the ability to deduplicate people in the cloud as well. So making sure that the person that's going into a particular area or zone on a construction site, which of course could be high risk or mission critical, making sure that person is who they say they are, primarily through the biometrics. Sitting behind that, we then have workforce management software. The workforce management software can then manage things like operatives' credentials, health and safety records, competency management. So again, linking that back to access control. So have you, Paul, got the right credentials to come through that particular zone or that particular door, etc.? Are your competencies in date, up together? And that manages all through the background, then obviously enforcing through physical access control, which primarily is turnstiles.
And the whole point for this is Michael was saying that even if I'm in the construction and I've got a dirty finger because I've been working on site, that Biosite technology actually allows us to look at that finger and not necessarily need the whole of my fingerprint to recognise it's me, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. So the company originally was founded by two individuals that developed an algorithm to read low quality fingerprints.
So the critical thing about this technology is a fingerprint, and if I'd put some sandpaper on mine, my fingerprint would have been a bit low quality in your terms, wouldn't it, Michael? So
absolutely.
The problem there is I'm going onto site and then I'm literally putting my fingerprint down and they're not recognising that it's me, and therefore there's a whole problem, a whole rigmarole that goes with that as well, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. So the business was founded by two individuals that originally created an algorithm to read low quality fingerprints, so specifically low quality. At the time, not necessarily for construction, but obviously the two kind of go hand in hand. You've got construction workers, either dirty or fingerprints that have been damaged over the years. So yeah, we specialise in reading low quality fingerprints. The ability to deduplicate in the cloud as well, so not just local biometrics, also across kind of multi-site solutions. And that ultimately is one of our kind of key specialisms, making sure that then you know that that person is who they say they are, and also even if that person has either a dirty fingerprint or a low quality fingerprint, we can still be able to read that, which is obviously mission critical for construction companies.
Yeah, and I think it's really critical, folks, when we look at this, that for me, we need to have a way of certifying people. If I have a card and I leave it at home, I've got to go home and get the card and the ID. If I have all of these different qualifications that allow me to, say, operate a machine or to do work with biohazard material, then all of that data can come up on a screen to the individual in front of me. Equally, in the cloud, people can see that I've gone onto site. So actually, if I'm an individual, I can get paid. Because at the end of the day, I've turned up on site and therefore I'm going to get paid and I've done my job. And equally, most importantly, when I leave a construction site, I leave my fingerprint as well. Therefore, everybody knows if there is an incident on site, where I am and whether they need to look for me, which is equally important.
Yeah, emergency roll calls, evacuation records, etc. And like you say, the biggest thing being able to tie all of those records in and know that that individual is who they say they are through ultimately the biometrics, which, you know, as we said, I could give you this and you're now Michael Bryant for the day. No one would know any different. If this was biometrics instead, that would be able to be controlled. The biggest concern that we see as well from people is, oh, you know, biometrics, you're holding my fingerprint. The way that the algorithm works, we don't hold images, we don't hold that at all. No. Ultimately, the algorithm takes the image in the first place, creates certain points on the fingerprint in terms of metrics and measurements, converts that into ultimately a string of numbers, which is then encrypted, and that's totally irreversible. So we're not holding people's live image of fingerprints. We can't recreate the fingerprints at all. And if there was to be an incident, etc., then that's not recreatable through any mechanism whatsoever.
So it is really taking the identification to the next level. I'm always going to carry my hands with me, folks, and the fingerprints there, and I'm always going to take my identification off, because I quite frankly don't like shooting videos with these tags on, but I let Michael wear his today so that we all know who he is, and I know now all about Biosite. Great to meet you, Michael.
Brilliant,
Cheers.
thank you very much.